How are you all doing today? Good. Excited to be here? No, not really?
Yeah.
I'll do that again. Are you guys excited to be here?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We need some energy before this presentation.
The weather is just crazy.
It is, but you guys know it's supposed to rain the next 7 days.
Yes. And
So-
even before that, the weather's just been so muggy and it's so depressing.
We're gonna pretend like it's sunshine and rainbows outside. Yeah, but I feel you. I don't know how to dress like right now. Like I really still want to wear sweaters, but I can't. So. But thank you guys so much for coming out to today's Lunch and Learn. I see a few familiar faces in the audience from last night's alumni communication event. Raise your hand if you were able to attend the communication alumni event last night. Can you share your name with us again? Texiana. Can you give us maybe a 30-second breakdown of that experience?
Well, basically, alumni came in and they told us about their experience within the field and within their own academic careers, and gave us some insight on things that they did to get where they are today.
Okay. And what would you say was your biggest takeaway?
I would say one of the speakers said, like, ask for the job, like actually ask for the job in interviews.
Okay.
And I think that was the most useful piece of information I got from it.
And then in regards to things to do here on campus, what was something that they indicated that you should make sure you do?
Actually use your resources at the writing center, get involved, plug in, all that good stuff.
Okay, all that good stuff. So thank you, Tatiana. Let's clap it up for Tatiana. So today is the second in our spring 2018 Lunch and Learn series. And so thank you all so much for coming out today to learn more about public relations. What the Communication Studies faculty are aimed this semester is to figure out ways that we can give more to you all outside of your classes. And so the reason why I asked Texiana to share her experience last night, because our speakers indicated that your role as a student at UHD is not just to go to class. Your role is to become fully engaged in life at the university as much as you can. So we have these Lunch and Learn series during the day for students that are typically on campus or for students that can take a break from work. And then we also work to have events in the evening for those students that work 8 to 5 and can't come on campus, because we want to make sure that when you leave the University of Houston downtown, you are a part of our brand. You are our walking spokesperson. And there are so many UHD alumni that are working in the city, throughout the state, throughout the country, and we want to make sure that you all are as equipped as possible to work with them. And so today's series looks at public relations. We have a couple more series coming up. One looks at, our first series was the LinkedIn 101 session. Our next series looks at what is your online brand tell individuals about you. And then we're going to have a session sponsored by the Career Center on making the perfect elevator speech. And then our last Lunch and Learn session for the semester deals with preparing for the internship fair. When is the internship fair? Dr. Murray sent an email out to you guys on Monday talking about the internship fair. Did y'all read my email?
April something.
April 11th. Thank you. What's your name?
Rome.
Rome's the only person that answers my emails. When I go back to my office in a few, I have 3 emails that I'm going to send to you guys, so don't ignore them. It's a joke, laugh, guys, light it up a little bit. And so I want you guys to be in the mindset for these series to think about the internship fair. Because one of the things our panelists said last night, all of them are in their current roles now because of their experience with internships. Right, we have a seat up here for you, sir. And so I want you guys to think about how you can best use your resources here on campus. I want to thank Professor Zeenat Metha, who will actually give a wonderful presentation today about public relations. She has a little over 20 years experience in the field of PR. She teaches public relations classes. How many of you all are current students of her now? Look at the room. Are you giving extra credit to your students? No, but we're so excited to have her, not only as faculty, but as someone that's willing to pour out outside of the classroom. And so I want to make sure that you guys are taking lots of notes and that you ask lots of questions of her for this experience. We also want to welcome everybody that's online and that's watching from home, and the people that will get a chance to see this as a recording. Any questions for me? All right, you guys have a fantastic Wacky Wednesday, and I will see you in the back.
Thank you, Dr. Murray. And just to reiterate what Dr. Murray said, thank you all for being here. They are taping this as we have people at home watching, so many times your questions or anything that's answered will also be seen by others. Today's Lunch and Learn series is about the value of public relations. And as many of you just raised your hands, a lot of you are in my class. So you know a little bit about the beginnings of public relations and its value. Well, someone raise their hand and tell me what are some of the things that are key to public relations. Anyone? How does it differ, let's say, from some of the other things? What is some of the other things? Journalism, marketing, etc. How is it of value? What is some of the things that we do?
The value is that it's earned. It's not paid for as it is advertising, and then there is the process, the raise process.
Yes, yes. So there are a lot of key terms, and some we just mentioned, but we're proactive. We go out and inform as public relations specialists. We persuade. We're creative. We're positive. So there's a lot of things about public relations that may differ and feels very similar. Okay. So I'll share a couple of definitions with you just to guide you from professionals. Public relations is a strategic communication process that builds mutually beneficial relationships between organizations and its public. Okay, and that was from the Public Relations Society of America, so PRSA. And PRSA is the largest organization in the USA and in the world that sort of overlooks public relations and many of the things that go in and out and have value or have a say-so. From the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, they say that public relations managers and specialists create and maintain a favorable public image for their employer or client. They write material for media releases, plan and direct public relations programs, and raise funds for their organization. Okay, so here's a few more things that PR people do: raise funds, okay, create public relations programs, which are also events, okay, and they write material. The British Institute of Public Relations says public relations is influencing behavior to achieve objectives through the effective management of relations and communications. So the key words here were influencing behavior, okay? So when we say it's a process and not an event, what do we mean by that? For those of you that are a little bit familiar from class, what do we mean by a process and not just an event? Yes. Absolutely. And what is that process? It was mentioned by Rome earlier, by RAISE, the acronym RAISE. And what does RAISE stand for?
Research, action, communication, evaluation.
Yes. So we go into that in a bit, but basically the process itself is research, action, which is also program planning, communication, and then feedback or evaluation. And the reason for that is when you are doing a public relations project, program, or event, you usually have to prepare a budget and say, this is how much I will need to do all these things to bring awareness, to bring back more business through sale of product or service, depending on the company, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a full circle to be able to first research and say, this is what I need to do to see value in why this product or service will sell. Once you've done that research, then there's the action or the program plan. When you actually go out and make that happen, the implementation part. Then there's the communication. You have your press releases, news releases, you know, billboards or commentary or something that you do to build whatever it is you've done through your research. And then the evaluation process, the assessment, okay? What is the amount of money that I put into this project or program open? What is all the effort we put in to go out to the community and build this, you know, of value? Did I create a market for a target audience and reach out everybody that should have been reached out? Welcome you all. There's a chair here, and maybe from one of the rooms we could have someone just bring in a chair. If you like. Okay, perfect. Thank you for filling this up. So those are some of the things that one thinks of from beginning to end. Okay, because for the next fiscal cycle, if you want to go back and do a similar or somewhat of a program that incorporates what you just did, your manager or supervisor is going to say, well, what you did last year didn't do all the things that we expected or demanded. Am I willing to give you that, you know, $500,000 budget again for this year because you brought back that $2.5 million we had discussed? Did it create that awareness that we needed it to create in the community that we were trying to target? That product or service has to do all those things before they will probably approve, right? What happens if, let's say you had discussed for that $500,000 that you got, you were going to make $2.5 million, but you really only made $1 million. What's going to happen the next year? Anyone?
Less budget. Budget cut.
Budget cut, exactly. Do you think some jobs will be lost?
Probably.
Possibly, or at least if transition somewhere else, or maybe that money will go to another campaign and it'll go towards that, okay? So a lot of things can change, and that's why it's important to go out there and do that research completely and fully before you can take that action, create that communication, and evaluate it, put feedback in. It is important to remember some of the definitions that frame public relations, okay? We talked a little bit about keywords, but these are definitions that actually help you in thinking about the process of public relations. So it's deliberate, okay? In other words, public relations activity is intentional, okay? It's planned, which means public relations activity is organized. There's performance involved, which means effective public relations is based on actual performance and policies, okay? No amount of public relations will generate goodwill and support if the organization has poor policies and is unresponsive to public concerns. There has to be public interest. If you're trying to sell a product or service to a community, but there is no interest, and if they're not going to buy, what value is that to them or to you? Okay? There has to be two-way communication. So public relations is not just disseminating information, but also the art of listening and engaging in a conversation with various publics. And then there's the management function, which is public relations is most effective when it is a strategic and an integral part of decision-making by top management. So it involves counseling, it involves problem solving, and it involves the management of competition and conflict. So we started off asking the question about the difference in public relations versus journalism or marketing or advertising, okay? And we got one response, but let me elaborate a little bit. Journalism is where you actually go out and you find facts and you share those facts. So if you're watching a journalist, let's say on television, and they've got that 1 minute to be able to give their story, they're going to give you the who, what, where, when, and why, right? If someone died and it was a scene on 59 and Kirkwood, they're going to mention that. Okay, so it's very factual, but the journalist has a primary purpose, and that is providing the public with news and information. The difference with a PR personnel is that they gather facts, and their objective is not only to inform, but also to change people's attitudes and behaviors in order to further an organization's goals or objectives. Okay? So when we are talking about an organization, and I've shared this in my class, so those of you that are in my class will know, a key company that does some of the best PR work, or has done it on television, for example, is BP. Because back in April of 2010, they had an oil spill. It affected the Gulf. It affected millions of jobs, livelihood, food, wildlife, and people in the surrounding areas, were not able to have a steady income because of everything that had happened in the Gulf. Okay? So what BP did is they put a lot of manpower into assisting those people, paying the government for that oil spill, as well as starting their own cleanup. And they had some of the most skilled professionals come out and do their PR pieces. And I'll show you one in just a bit. So that's the difference between a journalist and someone that's a PR professional, okay? The other difference was advertising and PR. So advertising is placed in media outlets, television, radio, magazines, newspapers. And PR often relies on owned media. In other words, organizations produce and distribute content for media platforms owned or controlled by the organization. This can include newsletters, brochures, podcasts, websites, intranet blogs, Facebook, and Twitter, etc., YouTube. Advertising is paid. When a PR piece is put on TV or radio, it is free. And someone working on the other side, on television or radio or newspaper, gets so many things to publicize, and they have to pick and choose. Okay? So as PR people, you also have to build that relationship with the journalists on the other side. You have to show them value. You have to help them understand that why you are trying to reach out to the public and why they should print that versus some of the other things that come their way. So there's all that development, okay? And marketing, how does marketing also differ? Does anyone want to share anything from their end? So marketing is the purpose of marketing is to sell goods and services, okay? They do it through attractive packaging, they do it through competitive pricing, retail, online promotion, and efficient distribution programs, okay? When you are trying to market, you are also trying to have an audience that you market to that are consumers or customers, okay? Whereas public relations deals with a broader array of an audience, okay, or publics. They can include investors, community leaders, environmental groups, vendors, government officials, and even employees who can affect the organization's success and profitability, okay? So that's the difference between those two. One of the other things that we have to remember about public relations is that we try and reach diverse audiences. Those of you that have been in class, I think we've gone through some areas where we look at case studies, or you've read case studies that show why you need to be diverse, right? Why do you need to not target just a specific group or race or age in some cases? if it's a brand or a service for a particular type, then you do that, but you have to be diverse even in that little area, okay? One of the things that we keep, we mentioned in class, for those of you that are in my class, is that especially when you live in a diverse city or a diverse state or a diverse country, we're known as a melting pot here. I've used in class. Okay, L'Oreal is a French company. The French cosmetic, hair, makeup, beauty products, skincare company, but it's French. And yet it's made it into the American market almost as though it was Walmart, okay? Because what have they done? What have they done?
They've used different models. Instead of models, they used different colored people like actors, actresses to market their thing,
That's
their brand, instead of doing just a not recognized model.
Exactly. So they've gone and they have found celebrities, not models, but celebrities that we all relate to, of different backgrounds. In this case, mostly women, because it is a cosmetic brand, a skincare brand, and that's the market that buys most of those products are women. But they've chosen people of all different backgrounds, very well known. Everyone from Beyonce to Eva Longoria to Jennifer Lopez to Frida Pinto to Aishwarya Rai, they have found people in a huge, diverse background that have become celebrities or well-known within their culture, as well as the culture outside their own. And when you go to a Kroger's, or you go to Randall's, or you go to HEB, there is a L'Oreal section there. And sometimes you can pull out lipsticks that, you know, are made for Eva Longoria or Jennifer Lopez or Aishwarya Rai or Frida Pinto, and it has their signature. And there's hair care products for people of different types of hair care, okay? Different thickness or different ways of doing things, and they have reached a massive market in the United States. And even their slogan, what's their slogan? For those of you that buy L'Oreal, I've seen their ads. It's actually very simple, and it's a very it's a very good slogan. Someone said it.
Right. I know that I don't know how to say that in English, but I know in French.
What is it in French?
Parce que je le vois bien.
Okay. Okay. So here it's I'm worth it. Okay, or we're worth it, right? When you see Jennifer Lopez doing an ad for them, one of the things that she says is, I'm worth it. And when you've seen other people do ads for them, they'll say, you're worth it. And it's a very good price brand. It's not very expensive. It's not very cheap. It's in between. And what they're trying to tell you is, you too can purchase this. You don't have to be a celebrity, okay? So what I'm trying to say is they reached that diverse audience. They did it in such an amazing way that they have hit pretty much every target audience, because it's not just the 18 to 25 or 18 to 35. They've chosen people even outside that realm and outside, you know, a particular race or color or ethnicity, and they've gone completely, you know, viral, if that's the right word for it, to show that we are inclusive of everyone, okay? So that's one of the things. The other thing is there's a diversity of work even offered in public relations. So, you know, some of you may be thinking, but I'm not going into public relations. I really enjoy it. I love it. It's something I really think I can see myself doing. Well, it's covered in so many different areas. So for example, the types of work that people in PR do: counseling, research, media relations, publicity, employee or member relations, community relations, public affairs, government affairs, issues management, financial relations, okay, who would have thought of that? Industry relations, development and fundraising, which is key, multicultural relations, workplace diversity, special events, and marketing communications. There's an array of places that you could actually use that degree, okay? And I tell my students that public relations, you will use your entire life. In most careers, you can use it for negotiation, you can use it for things that you volunteer for in the community, you can use it for even personal relationships. It is truly a way in which you speak the words you use, how you use them, when you use them, and why you use them, because you're actually, even in a negotiation, you're trying to prove the positive. You're trying to prove your value or your worth, okay? Do you see where I'm going with this? Okay, so it's such a valuable tool to learn. It's such a valuable area to know about, because you can truly use it. Whether you could be an engineer and you can use it, okay? You could be a physician and use it. You could be a lawyer and use it. So the internet and social media, public relations, a lot of mom and pop organizations, companies, they depend on social media. Okay, they've grown because of social media. Many times, mom and pops or small to medium-sized companies don't have a budget to have a full-time public relations person. They've either gone out and they've hired from outside to a PR person and say, okay, we've got these 3 events coming up and we need you to do this, that, and the other. And people from different departments will work with them and they will make those public relations events occur. That's cheaper because you don't have somebody in staff that you have to pay benefits and time off and holidays and things of that nature. The other way they've boosted their public relations, these small to medium-sized firms, is they've actually put their product or service on the internet. They've done it through Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So many ways in which to reach out to an audience that would want their product or service. Okay. So social media is truly of value, and it's really shown that sometimes that is the best way to get that information out. How many of you watch Shark Tank or have seen an episode of Shark Tank? Okay, a lot of the people that come there, they're there to ask money for their invention. Okay, something that they've created. They've got the skill set for it, but they don't have the finances for it. And yet they've had to grow, because in Shark Tank, to prove that this is of value, you have to have grown your business to a certain extent within a certain time frame and show that there's rapid growth year after year. Okay? And most of them have not had a public relations budget. They've relied simply on social media. And the numbers are staggering. There's been companies that have come there, and within a short time, and I mean in 2 or 3 years, they're making $1 million. Simply because they used their social media correctly, and they had a product or service that an audience actually wanted or valued. So that's something really to consider. If, for example, you go into PR, to do that. And blogs. I've read the book, Julie and Julia. Okay. So Julia Childs was a cook, and Julie was the person that decided to do 1 recipe a day from Julia Child's cookbook, and I believe it was for 365 days or at least a full year. And she created a blog, and she not only was able to get people to get involved and read her blog, but eventually she wrote a book about it and became a movie. Okay, it got so much attention just from something that she decided to do as a passion of hers. Okay, so The last area that we're going to go over is public relations for mass media. Okay. What do we mean by public relations for mass media?
Like public relations for television and radio and
Exactly.
other mediums.
Yes. So it's public relations for mass media because you're gonna, whatever you say and do is gonna go to a huge segment, okay? If you're gonna spend 30 seconds on, let's say, a Frito-Lay commercial, and you do it during the Super Bowl, okay? You're gonna get a mass audience for that 30 seconds. You're gonna pay close to about $4 million for it if it's at that peak time of the Super Bowl or more. But if, let's say, you get, I'm gonna throw out a number, 10 million people who caught that, of which 500,000 decided to go and buy a Frito-Lay product, you will have succeeded, okay? Now, if you do it on a regular night, on a Thursday night, let's say during prime time, and you get a viewership of about 50,000 people, you're gonna pay a lot less for that segment. But of that 50,000, if even 4,000 or 2,000 come out and buy your product, you will still be a success, okay? And so that is something that mass media does. It's the same with newspapers. It's the same with radio, okay? And now it's getting to be very popular even with the internet, for example, if you're internet on Yahoo, okay? Because a lot of people get their news from Yahoo while you're watching, while you're reading the news, you will see little advertisements pop up, right? That's how they make their money. When we see these sitcoms that we see on TV, there's a small segment that is allocated for advertisers, because those advertisers pay the bulk of the salaries for those sitcoms and for, you know, the producers and writers, et cetera, et cetera. So mass media is huge. Now, let's say you are doing a media event. What are let's say an event that you want to publicize on TV, you have to put together a little media kit, especially if you want it. You want to get that free publicity. You want it to be announced or addressed or recognized. What do you need? What are some of the key things that you need? Product. So in some cases, yes, your product, but you want the person to also be able to take that information and disseminate it to the TV viewers, radio viewers, things like that, okay? So you're going to have in there a news release or a press release, okay? Which talks about the entire event, as well as your product, as well as why you believe it's a great product. Of course, you're not going to say it's not a great product, right? You want to maximize its positive nature, okay? And then you're going to also have publicity photos, okay? Let's just think about an event for a Marble Slab ice cream, okay? So if you're doing an event for Marble Slab ice cream, you're going to have that press release. You're going to have publicity photos of people enjoying Marble Slab. Okay, many of them will be youngsters, children, youth, but there will also be a lot of moms, a lot of families, and the reason for that is they're trying to create a target audience of a whole bunch of people. Okay, there was a time when ice cream was just for kids. Is it anymore? No. Marble Slab makes hand-spun ice cream, and it's not 45 cents. It's more like $4.59. Okay? And an adult has to be willing to pay that price. So, so they're going to have all those things in there, and they'll probably have information on how you can, you know, and into the press release as well, probably how you can log in and get free ice cream, and a lot of people will log in get that coupon for that free ice cream, go to Marble Slab, and they'll be able to test all that. Okay, so in that package, you will see a lot of other things. Okay, and then how many of you have shop at, let's say, Kroger's? I shop at Kroger's. Okay. So when you're a regular shopper of certain items, you get in the mail almost every month coupons based on what you buy, because they know that you're going to probably need Kleenex next month again, and you're probably going to need coffee next month again. And on top of it all, they know how much you're spending. So if you're spending $60, they're going to send you an additional $6 off if you spend $70 or more that month, right? They want you to bump that up by $10. They're doing that so you don't go to H-E-B, you don't go to Randall's, you don't go to another grocery store around the corner, okay? And this is how they develop and grow their business. I'm going to take questions as soon as I can, in just a second. One of the last things I want to say is also pitching a story, and we touched on it a little bit earlier, is when you are out as a public relations personnel, and like I said, there's a lot of people out there that are in your shoes pitching a story to media to pick it up for free and to send it out because the masses will see it. How do you pitch a story? You build those relationships. You go out, you get them to know you. You go out and tell the journalists, whether it's for radio or TV or newspaper, you know, why this company that you are working for, why this client that you are working for is a value, and why it's a value even to their audience. And you continue that relationship, okay? And so the next time they see something sent from you and you give them a call and say, hey, I sent something to you this morning, please, you know, look at it and pick it up, and I hope you can spread the news. Hopefully they will do that, okay? So that's what pitching a story is. Now, I want to show you something real quickly. Some of you have already seen this, but there are many examples out there. This is definitely one of the best. And this is a PR piece, one of many PR pieces on TV that BP did right after the oil spill and right after they were able to try and negotiate with at least the immediate people affected. There are still people that are affected that have not been helped to this day, but the majority have, you know, and when I say majority, I'm saying more than 60%. And this is a wonderful public relations piece. Okay, let me turn this on now.
When BP made a commitment to the Gulf, we knew it would take time, but we were determined to see it through. Today, while our work continues, I want to update you on the progress. BP has set aside $20 billion to fund economic and environmental recovery. We're paying for all spill-related cleanup costs. And we've established a $500 million fund so independent scientists can study the Gulf's wildlife and environment for 10 years. Thousands of environmental samples from across the Gulf have been analyzed by independent labs under the direction of the U.S. Coast Guard. I'm glad to report all beaches and waters are open for everyone to enjoy. And the economy is showing progress, with many areas on the Gulf Coast having their best tourism seasons in years. I was born here. I'm still here, and so is BP. We're committed to the Gulf for everyone who loves it and everyone who calls it home.
Okay, so was it a positive?
I care deeply about the Gulf. I grew up in Louisiana. I went to school here. I've been with BP ever since. Today, I lead a team that sets our global safety standards.
So you saw that they showed clean beaches. They showed people on the beach. They showed a vast array of people when they did the long shot of the hotels and how people were actually eating at restaurants, eating seafood, which obviously has to come from the water, right? And so that oil spill and that reminder of that oil spill hopefully will disseminate, and people will start thinking of the positive that BP is doing. You see how that becomes a very positive. And that's not the only one they did. They did a series of these campaigns, and many of them were really well done, okay? So that's how I want to end it, and I know we don't have much time, but we're going to open the floor up for Q&As. And so anybody now, I know there was a question up back there, so
No, it actually wasn't a question. You was talking about programs, and I think you got one of the most appealing things they have, which is you spend $100, you get 10 cents off gas.
Yes. So I didn't mention that because they do more than that. I don't know if you know that or not. But they do that. You get 10 cents off every month if you spend, and I don't even think it's $100. I think some people spend even less than they get less. Yeah, they still get less. So if you go to a Shell station, and let's say you fill gas on a weekly basis, you get 10 cents off. You just have to put in your, your Kroger ID or alternative ID.
So earlier you had actually mentioned the difference between PR and marketing, and whenever you said the Kroger example, for some reason I thought that is more on the marketing side because it's providing discounts to consumers.
So if it grows into what was just mentioned here, that they're giving you 10 cents off for shopping, if they're actually checking your spending because your credit card has your information, okay?
So like statistics and stuff.
It branches out into public relations as well. Okay? The marketing aspect, the best way to look at marketing is if it's a product or service. So that needs to be visible to somebody, okay? That needs to be visible. So let's say a cornflakes box. If you put someone on there that just won in the winter, something in the Winter Olympics, that's going to catch a lot of attention. That's marketing. People will probably buy that to support it, or because they like that individual, okay? So, but PR goes beyond that, okay? You're doing the write-up for media, you're doing the news releases. Now, even though that is media, the public relations aspect of it is truly the concept of doing that event, having that media kit ready with all the information we discussed and branching out. Okay?
Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions?
Sure. So the collection of our information, like say you're a frequent shopper in Kroger's, Walmart, and they start sending you these coupons and stuff, kind of like tracking your spending or what you're spending on. Is this like service?
That is part of the research. So when we do race, when we talked about race here, the research, action, communication, evaluation, they probably did a research before they started that. If we gave out coupons to the same consumers, what are the chances they'd come back and use those coupons? That was part of their research probably. And they saw value when they tested it out. So they continued for years, okay? Not all grocery stores do that. But they, in their research, must have found value because people do leave a certain type of grocery store if they find value somewhere else. I mean, where I live, within a short distance, there's a Randall, there's an HEB, there's other smaller mom and pops, grocery stores. So people have a choice. How do they keep you there? Saving money. You're going to buy those products anyways, right? And if you come here, you have an automated coupon, not just for 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 things, but a list of things that you already buy. It's kind of easy, right? When you get those, it's a little easier than clipping coupons on a Sunday, which a lot of moms used to do to save money for their families, right? These are the exact things you bought. It's rare that they send you stuff, except in a separate brochure, they'll send you stuff that they think you'd like to try. But that particular envelope with the coupons in it, it's usually stuff you bought. And it's more, if you count those things up, including that $6 off that they give you if you shop $70 or more, if you count those coupons, that's about a $30 or more savings, okay? That's a lot of money. So that's one of the ways that they do that. Okay, any other questions? Yes.
What would be, let's say, like your advice for a brand new PR personnel, besides, build those relationships? What is a good way of standing out if you're brand new versus them going with somebody that they already have a relationship?
That's a great question. So one of the things in the textbook I use starts off by showing one person that does a multitude of things in one day. And she's a PR senior executive, okay? So you'll start off your day doing one thing, keeping your mind open about when you read the newspaper, on anything your clients have done that's positive, taking that, going to a lunch, finding out more information and before you do anything else, talking to media about something else that's coming up that one of your clients is doing. You know, so it's truly multitasking, having all those skill sets, and you could have that in another job. And you can tell, you know, the person interviewing you, you know, a lot of the things that are required in public relations is to multitask. It's to be on top of things, to be proactive, to be able to see something of value and inform the media, okay? And I did that in my last job. For example, this is what I had to do. And I did this very well to the extent that I actually grew in our department more than 200%, you know, over the years simply by doing this, this, and this. And in the same way that wherever you came from, whether you're new or whether you are somewhere else, you can show, you know, you can show where you've made a difference, okay? Anything else? Yes.
Can you be able to tell us the difference between a news release and a press release? Because you had mentioned it, and then I'm like, okay, like I know what a press release looks like, but what is a news release and what does a media kit look like?
So a media kit, so for example, let's use some of, I brought some of this stuff down here simply so you can see. So this is bi-monthly calendar, highlights of events, visit mfah.org. So this is Museum of Fine Arts, and they send something like this out, okay? So if, let's say they're doing an event, okay? They will have a news release, they'll have one of these things out, they'll probably give you maybe some examples of some exhibitions. Right now, what's one big exhibition that's going on
Oscar
at
de la
the
Renta.
MFAH?
Oscar de la Renta.
Exactly. Oscar de la Renta was huge, okay? And he set the trends for a lot of leading ladies, okay? And so there's a wonderful exhibition of his at MFAH. Now, to go back to your original question, there's only a little bit of a difference. There's not much of a difference. It just depends on who calls it what. So anytime you are doing an informational session for the press, most of the times something very similar will be written for the press, okay? It's directed for the press, okay? If you're doing an informational session for a group of organizations, okay, it can be called a news release because it's not just the press involved. So there's very little difference. If you read, we don't have much time right now, but I would sit down and actually show you the difference because you'd have to visually see it. But just do a little search on your own. Those of you that are in my class, you'll be reading on that, okay, in your chapters, or you should have read it by now in your chapters. But you can easily see the difference, okay? But remember who your audience is, okay? Any other questions? I'm gonna do some of the things I brought here are publicity pieces. I'm just gonna show you a couple of things. So we discussed the MFAH brochure. Here's a UHD newspaper that comes out, and there is an article in the last page of the current one, and it talks about Chef Hardin returns to the kitchen. Now this is free publicity for Hardin, right? He didn't have to pay for this. This is a PR piece for him. And there are a lot of people that are fans of Hardin's, right? That'll probably read this and probably try to learn more about it. So this is, even in our own newspaper, we do these sorts of things, okay? This is the UHD Magazine. A lot of it is for people internally as well as within the community to show what we do at UHD. We're very proud of our university. We are the second largest university in the city of Houston, and we do so much for our students and for the community because we are known as a community engagement university, right? We do things, so when you leave here, hopefully not only will you be seen for the degree that you get, but also for your extension in community service. Those of you that are in my 2311 public relations course face-to-face, we do service learning, right? We do service learning, and you actually get to take what you learn in class, visit with a nonprofit organization like Crime Stoppers, which is what we're doing this semester, and then go out to a community and share your knowledge on Crime Stoppers with what you learned in class. And you know, you show value for not just Crime Stoppers, but for UHD, as well as what you've learned here. So we're very proud of our university. And so a lot of the stuff in here is information, but it's also PR. It's our PR, okay? And it's great information. So those of you that have not seen it, pick one of these up. So there's an array of things that is out there, and it truly is done in a very nice way to build the PR for that organization. Okay. Any other questions? No. Okay. Well, I want to thank you again. This is a standing room only, so I'm very grateful that you're here.